There are three major reasons why you should be checking out Isobelle Austin's cello library from Inletaudio. Number one is going to be your XY articulation pad. You're going to be able to control 4 different articulations at once. Number two is going to be the exposure and connections Inletaudio is creating for not only the recording musician, but for us as the composer and consumer. And number three is going to be a personalized collection of sample libraries in the long term. Hey everyone, my name is Robert Rodriguez and I'm a composer and orchestrator. If you're new here, I want to give you access to my free composer reference guide. This is going to help you write for different popular genres of film and television music. So if this is something you're interested in, you can check out the link in the description down below. When I walk through and review different sample libraries, I do try to find the unique benefits that composers can get from that specific sample library. So when Inletaudio reached out with a copy of their Isobelle Austin cello library, I asked them what their goals were, what their company mission was, and just basically how you could benefit from this library. And let me tell you, they have a clear vision for the future of their samples, and I am very excited. So just make sure you stick around because I would love to go over their website, the user interface, and just my overall thoughts on how you could get value from this library. So let's dive right in. So this is the Inletaudio website, and right away we can see the Isobelle Austin Cello Collection 1 Foundation. So just with that name, it leaves a lot of possibility for the future. So let's just check it out. All right, so right away we see kind of just a description of the library, a quick look at the interface, but it says Isobelle's Cello Collection 1 creates a modern scoring sound, blending traditional orchestration with contemporary electronics and morphing musical sound design driven textures and built-in creative sound manipulation effects. That is a lot to take in, but I've gotten a chance to play around with this and they are not kidding when it says orchestral meets sound design. And just by quickly looking at the paragraph, we see 20 different playing techniques. You can even add in your own sounds, which is huge. Create a blend of up to 4 playing techniques. You get all of these tools can be applied per individual playing technique. So I believe you can actually go in and adjust each articulation. And then we get a little bit about Isobelle. She's an award-winning cellist and featured recording artist. She plays acoustic and electric cello, performs, and is a session recording musician as well, regularly involved in recording sessions, and has and offers different styles of playing. She does classical, video games, films. So there is a lot about Isobelle to get from this page. And something that really drew me into this library and Inletaudio as a company was just the emphasis on collaboration with musicians. Normally with sample libraries, musicians will get a share of the royalties, but with something like this, not only is Isobelle being promoted with her name front and center on the title, but Inletaudio is really trying to promote her by adding her page here. Her headshot is front and center on the user interface itself. And then it also includes like her biography and a QR code that you can scan directly from the library itself. And then just after talking with them about this collaboration, I really thought it was cool that Isobelle has actually been contacted for an album recording thanks to her work on this sample library. So I absolutely love that there is this relationship built between sample developer and recorded musician. Then if we scroll down, we see the trailer for the library, an overview and an in-depth look, as well as just some demos of the library in action. And then towards the bottom of the page, we're gonna get the specs and just like their overall techniques and some details about the library. Just quickly looking, it is gonna run on a full version of Contact. Normally, the full version is around $400. I think lately it's been on sale for about 200 or so. And for a while, even that was just too much. I didn't see a need in doing the upgrade. But what I found was because I already owned a qualifying sample library, that price was reduced to around $130. And it was that price point that made it just much easier to switch over to the full version of Contact. So of course, these are things that you're just gonna have to keep in mind before making any kind of purchase with any sample library. It's gonna have over over 2,340 samples, so roughly 10 gigs. These are the system requirements for Mac, Windows, and just like their recommended cores and RAM. And then we're gonna see that we have 20 different playing techniques, as well as the ability to load in your own sounds. So I love that. Over here, we have details. So on the main page, we'll get the XY pad where you can blend up to 4 sounds together. The envelope, so like your ADSR, 12 reverbs, EQ, tape saturation, filter, pitch shifter, and an LFO. All of this on your main page. And then as you check out each individual articulation, you'll get a secondary page where you can adjust all the effects per articulation, per technique. So that is what this secondary page is. So just by looking at this, we can tell that this is going to be a very in-depth library that I'm very excited to share with you. And of course, if you are a student or probably educator, you can apply for the educational discount as well. So now that we got this overview, let's take a look at the library itself. All right, so I opened up a brand new session in Logic and I went through files. I found the Isobelle Austin cello collection, and these are the instrument articulations. So I loaded up just kind of like that last one, just the foundation. I guess this is your default patch. And right away on the left, we're going to see Isobelle Austin's headshot right there. That way she's integrated into this library. We're not leaving the checkout page and then kind of forgetting, right? We want to know that this is her library. And then if we were to head on over to this little dot down here, we would see her biography and a QR code that will lead to her link tree. So let's just check this out. I'm gonna do a screen recording, right? Okay. And right away, we see her link tree on our phone. This is just such a cool and unique way of just promoting her. This is her library still, and if we want to connect with her, we can just by looking through her website, her Instagram, some stuff she did on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, SoundCloud. This is just a really cool thing that Inletaudio did to promote her and their own library. And then if you don't want to have this on display, maybe the entire time, you can click it again and this will just bring kind of like a blank main page. So it removes her headshot, the name of the library and everything. And personally, I think I'm just going to keep it to the default setting with the headshot and the name of the library itself. I think what's really, really cool, when I was talking with Inletaudio about this library, they were saying how they're open to collaborations with musicians. And they brought up how COVID actually sparked the inspiration for remote recording. So it's totally possible to record a sample library from home, which just shows the kind of music era that we're in. Then if we move on over to the center of the library, we're gonna see the kind of heart of the library itself. This is the XY articulation pad, and it loads up 4 different articulations. You got double stop fifths, you got tremolo pizzicato, and then we got arco with and without vibrato. And depending on where you move this little dot will determine how much of each articulation you're gonna get, right? So over here would just be double stops, over here just pizzicato, and you can kind of get a nice blend between the 4. So let's just hear what that would sound like. The tremolo pizzicato at first. The mod wheel is going to control the expression. And let's just take a look. Very cool. If we were to maybe just do double stops. And so just to kind of let you know, this particular technique is pitch shifted down by an octave. And so we will go in and we can see how that works itself. And then let's just go over to with vibrato. And of course, let's get a mix in. And I do just want to point out that the X and Y pad is controlled by CC11 and CC12. So for example, CC11 will bring it up and down, and then CC12 will bring it left and right. And so let's just take a quick peek at the secondary page inside each articulation, or at least the one that I brought up. So this specifically was pitch shifted an octave down. You could, of course, bring it back to normal if you didn't want it. I kind of like the sound of it pitch shifted, even though you might start reaching a point that isn't realistic with a cello. And we can adjust the starting and end points of the sample itself. You have your envelope. You can adjust the EQ. You could just turn it off altogether. You could adjust the spread. So how much of it do you want to be mono or stereo? You can rotate the sound, which I think will give it this really, really unique texture, which I personally love. Actually. So that is 0 rotation. There we go. I think it's so cool. You can adjust the space that you want. And then we have a granular engine. This is going to be bypassed automatically, but we can activate it. Let's just kind of play around with everything. Okay, and so that's going to either sync it to your session tempo, or you could just kind of free play it. We also can affect the LFO. Really, really cool stuff. And then you're going to have your filter, which is your cutoff. Resonance. You have so much opportunity to tweak each individual technique and then the overall patch itself. So that was just one technique, right? We went through all of this, we go back out, and now we can start tweaking everything else. We can go into other articulations as well, tweak what we want in there, and then we can tweak the overall patch. So this is just amazing how much power you have. So right next to the X and Y pad, we have the reverb, and you get your own mini X and Y pad for the 12 different reverbs that they have. So right away you get digital, we got chamber, cave, and reflections. And so let's just go all digital. That's digital. Cave. And reflection. And then you can, of course, do a mix of all four. What's warehouse? Nice. So I really like that they give you this XY pad option for the space as well, because then you can just go beyond the 12 and kind of create your own. Then it has a basic overall EQ, low, mid, and high, and your tape saturation. You then again have a cutoff and resonance, which is immediately turned off, but we can turn it on. You almost create this pad-like effect. So we're leaving the cello library side of things and we start creating like a synth in a way. Resonance. I like that. Like, how is this a cello, right? Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Really nice. Let's bring it back to 0. And then we have the basic envelope ADSR. This is attack, decay, sustain, and release. And then we have the LFO that we can tweak as well. So all the way down is a saw wave, sine, square, and then triangle. And then you can tweak kind of the rate that you want. What was it? I think it was at 16 or something. And then this is just the intensity of the LFO, but automatically it is turned off or bypassed. And so that's going to be the foundation of the user interface. But if we were to get rid of this and then go for just one of the other articulations, let's go for maybe like circular bowing. So it's going to default to the articulation that you chose, but of course you still have access to some other techniques as well through the X and Y pad. So you're never just stuck with one articulation. So circular bowing, let's just hear how that sounds. Really nice. And then we heard tremolo pizzicato. Trem sul ponticello and sul tasto. And so this is just a quick peek into this particular articulation. And then we move on over to circular bowing, harmonics. And let's get a nice mix of all four. so cool. Just really such an interesting, unique sound. I'm having so much fun just kind of messing around with these settings and finding what I like. But I also love that, if I don't want to, I don't have to go into each particular patch and tweak anything. I could get the basics done with this kind of master effects page. So let's move on over to another articulation. Colenio. Let's go to trills. Let's try something with trills. And so this is going to rely on a key switch. I'm assuming it's either going to be major. Yeah, major is the green and minor is the red. So let's just go for major. I kind of want to even lengthen it out a little bit more. We can reduce the amount of space. Yeah. And we can honestly just turn this into some kind of sound design effect that might not even sound like a trill at all. I don't even have any goal I'm reaching with this. I just want to just mess around and see what I can create. Right, and then LFO. Right? Like this does not sound like a trill at all anymore. So like I mentioned before, there are going to be 3 major takeaways to get from just playing around with this library and getting to know Inletaudio just a bit better. Number 1 is going to be that XY pad. This is at the heart of the library. This is what it's built off of. And I really think that this is one of the best blends between orchestral and sound design writing that I've seen in almost any other library. Like, this XY pad makes switching between articulations so seamless because you can easily adjust in real time. Like, you have such an incredible opportunity to create your own sound, which I think is relatively rare in a lot of other sample libraries, because for the most part, you buy a library and the articulations are what you get. Sure, you can add some reverb on them, you can adjust EQ, but you're not tweaking the articulation itself, or at least in the same way. I think this library has almost an Evolutions vibe from Spitfire, but you're actually adjusting the sound of the articulation in real time. Like, if you were to assign the X and Y to some faders on your keyboard, I don't even think you would need to touch the black dot in the middle of the XY pad, because you could just record and adjust as you go along. And if you have 4 different articulations to play with at once, and you can adjust each one individually, there's no way you're going to create a sound like the next person. You have something that is uniquely your own. The second takeaway is exposure and connections. This is really going to shift my view on the meaning and definition of a collaboration. I've purchased other collab sample libraries in the past, and for the most part, they try to emulate the style or sound of an artist or a composer or whoever it may be. And normally that's where the collab ends. In this case, not only did Inletaudio work with and create exposure for Isobelle Austin, but we have a direct line of communication to create connections, like the headshot and the biography and the QR code. They're all integrated into this library for a reason. I don't think Inletaudio is just selling a sample library. They're offering a chance at collaboration. Like, this is obviously a project between sample developer and recorded artist, but in a way it extends beyond just that and includes us as well. We can reach out to Inletaudio, we can reach out to Isobelle Austin. I think it kind of breaks down this wall, breaks down a barrier between sample library, sample developer, and us as consumer, and it kind of becomes one overarching collaboration, which I love. I love that. And then the third takeaway is a personalized sample library collection in the future. So after speaking with Thomas, the founder of Inletaudio, I was able to get a very clear picture of the future of their sample libraries. And let me tell you, it is really, really exciting. Like, this cello is just the start. It is collection 1. But what if we would have multiple cello libraries with different musicians recording and playing their own unique style? Cellist 1 gets their own library, and cellist 2 gets their own library, and cellist 3 gets their own library. And then expand that beyond just the cellos, but to other instrument groups as well. You can create your own orchestral collection by picking who you want and not just what you want. And the way it was kind of explained to me was, let's say the sound of oboe A is maybe just not right for somebody, but the sound of oboe B, C, D, E, and so on is perfect for them. But then someone else might love the sound of oboe A, but then maybe not C or D. This way of picking who you want as your musician in your DAW gives you so much more say in how you want your music to sound. It almost reminds me of the Logic drummer track, where you can pick and choose who you want to be your drummer, and they each have their own style of playing. So I really didn't know too much about Inletaudio before they reached out to me with this library, but I think what I found was I just love their ambition to create samples for the different tastes of musicians and composers. Like, I can really feel the innovation behind this library. I love when samples and an interface can inspire my own creativity and my own writing, and I think the reason why I feel so inspired is literally because I feel like I'm contributing to the sound of the instrument. So thank you again, Inletaudio, for sharing a copy with me. And if you are interested in picking up this library for yourself, you can check out the link in the description down below. Now, if you're looking for your next best sample library to add to your collection, then you're definitely going to want to check out one of my other library review videos. So I will see you over there, and as always, happy composing.